There we are. This is, I hope this is working. Can someone tell me, because I'm all by myself again today, if this is indeed working? Because I'm trying to figure that out. But if you're here, look, I can see it on the other computer. It's working. Okay, my wife is texting me. All right, here's what's happening right now. My name is CJ Reynolds, and I started like 8 years ago this Sunday night broadcast that has been at all different times, but now it's at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And it is meant to try and help teachers to get ready for the week. Some of you to get ready for the year. Some of you, tomorrow is the first day of the school year. And this is aimed at us helping you and maybe you helping someone else. Even if you have a month under your belt of teaching, there's going to be someone in here that their first day is tomorrow. You are literally 30 days ahead of them, and that can help them enormously. So look, gang, ask questions, put them in the chat. And if you see something that you can help with, please just do what you can to just help somebody out. I know if people outside of this, like even hook it up and like ask, connect outside of this and stuff like that. So all that is there. I am alone today. Thanks, Lopez, for letting me know that it's working. Because my wife everyone's celebrating my youngest sister-in-law's birthday, Clara, in good old Lubbock, Texas today. And so everyone's there. So I am here. I had a number of appointments today, so I couldn't go. But I don't think they watch this, but who knows? You might be sitting at Topgolf checking in right now. And I just want to say happy birthday to Clara. She is a wonderful, wonderful human being. Whole families. I mean, I'm just like living out here in New Mexico and like being part of such a great family is really great. So I just want to say happy birthday to you. There's so much going on lately. Look, if you're in I posted it the other day. I'll post it again today. If you're in North Carolina, I'm doing a talk on I think it's South Carolina. Sorry. It is the other Carolina. I'm doing a talk on Wednesday for back to school. And I think it's open to anyone that wants to go. Like you can just follow the QR code. But if it's not, at least those of y'all in South Carolina can go. And it's going to be awesome. But I think it's open to everyone. If I remember correctly, my wife, if she was here, she would correct me and let me know exactly what I was supposed to do. But I can't remember. Anyway. Birthplace of Buddy Holly, Lubbock. Yes, it is. They have a museum there. They have a really incredible looking music venue too. So yes. All right. I'm going to scroll to the top. If I miss a question, just somebody try and let me know. And I usually that's why there's two of us really working this thing because I can't multitask. But I will start with Ruth was in here early. Look, if you want to get your question read and make sure that happens, getting here early is the move. So, Ruth, how are you? Thank you for asking a question. You said my first day back is tomorrow, and I'm pooping porcupines. I thought that said poopery for a second. A little bit. Pretty sure I'd feel better if I could just talk a little bit about your personal Odyssey project. Yes. So Ruth, if you want, I know somebody just hit me up in an email, and I'm going to, if this was you, I can hit you back today, but shoot me an email. I'm more than happy to send that to you. On the first day, what I want to do is not be in front of kids as much as possible. I actually have a video coming out. I think maybe I'll drop it tomorrow. It was going to drop on Tuesday. I think I'll drop it tomorrow just to make sure that it's out for people on time. That is how I handle classroom management in the beginning of the year. It's like 4 tips that help me really nail classroom management on day one. The whole idea here is me not talking as much as possible, or feeling like I have to talk the whole time on the first day. So I, of course, do my rundown of like, here's what I'm excited about. Here's a little bit about who I am. And then I quickly turn it to students. If I had a full period my first day, I would do a who am I? So if you email me, or I wonder if I can get the link. This is one of those things, one of those wife moments where she'd be just throwing this thing up there and I wouldn't even be worrying about it. But if I can find the link, I'm going to put it in there right now. What I'm looking to do here is start collecting data on my students. So a who am I sheet is not your typical who am I sheet, right? What I'm looking for is insight into who you are, what you like, where you come from, a little bit of your story. For kids that might not want, that I can't say, hey, what do you like? And they're like, I don't know what you want me to say. So I have very specific questions on this document, and that really helps me. Am I going to find it? I don't know. This is how little I can multitask, is trying to look for this thing and keep talking at the same time. So I promise I will put this I will pin a comment at the end of this with that link in it. Remind me to pin comment. There we go. So the other thing that I'm looking for is 10 moments between birth and now. So if you get this document from me, which I'll put in the top of the comments, so don't email me, go to the top comment after this, I'll pin it. It is a Google Drive, basically slideshow between birth and now.
I changed it.
Thank you very much. 10 things that turn me into the human being I am today. I get a little bit vulnerable about this, not too vulnerable. So I put things like, so I wouldn't tell them like if my wife and I were having issues, or about, stuff like that. I mean, there's a million things, right, that make us into who we are today. But I like to put things like the fact that, like, when I was born, right? So number one thing in the world is the fact that I was actually born. The second most meaningful thing in order is that my dad passed away when I was 4 years old of brain cancer. And so this is a level of vulnerability that I want to show kids, because I want them to know I've been through stuff. Now I also have kids that, like, maybe have lost a parent, lost a loved one, even recently. There's a kinship there that only people who have lost, like, there's a kinship when you lose someone or something that is there, that you can identify in one another. I then tell them how I dealt with that, which was mainly through music. So in the 4th grade, I started playing drums, and the effect that had on my life. So it's these number of things that I'm sharing that I want to connect with my students and be an example. I then ask them to do this. I give them about 2 days to work on this in class, and then we start presenting. Every kid must present, even if you're super shy, even if you stutter, even if you have incredible anxiety. Now there are different ways we do that. So if I have a kid with, like, crippling anxiety, I do not make them do that in front of the whole class. I say you have to pick one friend, 1 or 2 friends, or 1 or 2 teachers that you trust, and then coordinate a time with me, and we'll do it during lunch or after school. So now they're still getting the practice of speaking in public, right? Which is one of the oratory skills that I want them to learn how to do in my class, but they are doing it in a setting which they have participated in manufacturing, so that they feel safer. So let me just say this, Ruth, before I switch to the next question. Remembering that it's just feelings that you're feeling right now before you go into school tomorrow, that none of this is real, what you're thinking. That the worst thing you can think of, like, so if you really think, like, what am I really afraid of? What is the worst thing that could actually happen? I'm telling you, it's probably not going to happen. And even if it did, would it be the end of the world? Right? So it's not what the kid did, it's how did I respond? And knowing that, I'll tell you this. It's in my book. I thought I had a copy of it here. I go back to this all the time because it's just so important. The first line in the foreword of my book is, I hated Mr. Reynolds when I met him, which was written by a student of mine about her real experience. I cannot tell you, like, you can look at me and watch me on YouTube and see all of my videos and how good I get along with students. There are tons of kids that do not like me at first. There's tons of kids that don't like me, period. But it is really showing up. Somebody else is more scared than you tomorrow. Some kid is terrified to go to school tomorrow. Some kid hates school. Some kid has been failing their whole life. Some kid feels like a failure. Some kid's going to have an argument with their mom as they walk out the door, or their dad's going to yell at them, or something is happening. Look for that kid. And no matter how scared you are tomorrow, find that child that needs someone to be kind, to be patient, to smile at them, to tell them good morning. You're showing up for that kid. And if some kid's a turd in class tomorrow, so be it. It happens all the time, right? Does it mean that they're really a turd? No. Did I say turd for the first 2 times ever on my podcast? Yes. But it's really it's looking for the kids that need you, and knowing, like, look, the Bible says my sheep will know my voice. Looking for the sheep that need to hear your voice, that will know your voice, and then speaking to those students. So, last name is pronounced R. Snow. That's how your last name, that is magical. I love it. French. All right, Linda, you're up. Linda Doherty is asking, first year teaching first. I was just offered a position 5 days ago. I have 4 kids of my own. How can I learn all there is to learn about the curriculum and still make time for my 4 kids? Linda, that's such a great question. For anyone, especially if you have children, but even if you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, a dog, right? Your cat doesn't care, right? But your dog really, 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 really wants to be like you. And I don't even know, my dog's not even in here right now, but my cat doesn't care about anything. How do we make that time but still get better? It is realizing that you're not going to know everything by the end of the year. You shouldn't, because it's like cooking, right? You make a recipe and then you taste it and it's like, how good was it? Okay, so we know for next time. It's making things as good as they possibly can be for tomorrow and this week. And then next weekend, looking at how can we make this a little bit better? It is not ever looking at how can we make this a lot better. 1, it takes too much time. 2, it is like, it's all consuming. And I would found in my own life that anything I've ever done. So right now, I'm going to go a little bit off the reservation here. That might not even be an appropriate thing to say anymore. But they say, you get things stuck in your head, and it's what everybody else said. And so I'm going to look that one up. Right now, I talk about this all the time. I track all this crap that I do all the time. You can't really see it on there, but and I get to put little green dots next to things that I do. So was I up before the sun? Not during the summer. I'm not up during the sun for the sun. Am I reading the Bible every day? Do I read or listen to something that helps me grow as an individual? And I'll tell you this. I started doing this a while ago, and the thing that really helped me with the read and listen portion is that, so right now I've read, without missing a day, I have 96%. I've hit 96% of my days. But overall, reading and listening, so I'm either a podcast or an audiobook or reading a book, I have 195 consecutive days. My minimum requirement for that is 10 minutes a day, right? If I do that for 10 minutes a day, then I get to check it off. Now, that is like, when I started, I did 10 minutes a day. Same thing with reading the Bible. Same thing with working out, was like, go to the gym, do 4 exercises 2 times each on any amount of weight. It could just be the bar. Like, it didn't have to be anything. But it was like, I heard someone say yesterday, the heaviest weight at the gym is the front door. That's the hardest thing to do to get into the gym, right? So what I'm saying here, Linda, to help this make sense, is that I've read so much in the last couple of years since I started doing this. I've exercised, I don't know, at this point, I have exercised, I have 100% completion. I have worked out, I don't know, 383 times since I started working out, right? Like, I've not missed a day in 383 workouts. Here's how this makes sense to your classroom and to your children. Creating small, manageable goals for your kids and for your students. What does that mean? It means, well, what does it really look like to hang out with your 4 kids at home, right? How much time do they need from you? So maybe they're helping you cook at night and you're making dinner. Maybe that's designated bedtime you're doing every night. And this is like non-negotiables. Maybe it's designated bath time. Maybe it's y'all are cleaning up the house together. Maybe it's you watch a little bit of a show or a movie every single night. You're creating these small, manageable, enjoyable moments that if I hit these few things, I feel like I'm doing good. It's when I have to miss one. So let's say you have back to school night, parent teacher conferences, something like that. You have a class trip that takes you a little bit longer to get home from, and you miss something. So then you can recalibrate and know that that was a one-off. But every night, what I do is I just track. It's like, so for me, it's like, did I eat dinner with my kids? Did I get a download from the school day? Did I pray? Still pray. I got almost 15-year-old and 17-year-old still pray with my kids every single night before they go to bed. Do we eat dinner together? Do we watch a little bit of something every day together? Do we eat breakfast together? I have certain non-negotiables, and then I don't have to wonder if I'm giving my kids enough time because I'm actually there, and I'm never doing something else when I'm doing that. I am only where my feet are. I'm only doing the hanging out with my kids. Then when I'm doing schoolwork, I'm only doing that. Now, schoolwork, I'll tell you, you're going to have to work harder and longer on your first year, right? But it's like like I find it enjoyable. But I block my time. So if I'm lesson planning, if I'm doing this on a Sunday, right? Maybe you're doing some house stuff, your dishes or laundry or whatever, cleaning up the house or taking a walk with your dog, whatever. Blocking your time so you can get it done. There's so much wasted time during the school day, and it doesn't feel like it, but it's like all of these little side conversations that people have all the time during the day. I'm getting work done because my kids are more important to me than just my coworkers. And I know that in this season, I got to hustle. So block that time out during the day. Can you come in a little bit early? Do you want to stay a little bit late? How can I get 10% better or 1% better every day, 10% better every week or something like that, whatever your metric is? It's just making these little tiny changes. Last thing I want to say about this, Linda, my gosh, if my wife is here, she'd be telling me I'm going on too long. Last thing I want to say about this is this. When you are starting your educational journey, let me just say this. I'll say it like this. School is so friggin' boring for most kids. And there's kids that like the regular teaching doesn't reach them, right? They take a longer time to process. They need direction 6 times. They are late every single day. They're hungry every single day, right? There's something going on at home. Just show up and help school to matter for as many kids as you can in a day and be authentically excited, right? That feeling, that excitement you all feel right now to start school, even tomorrow, if tomorrow's your first day or if you're a month in, do not do it because no one else is doing it. Do not show up explosively excited and happy and on fire because no one else is doing it. That doesn't serve anyone, including you, right? It is like you have the greatest fireworks display, but you're afraid to light the fuse because it's going to get attention. That you're not there anyway. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, you know what you're there for? Education is only ever about the students, meaning it's never about you anyway. It's not about test scores. It's not about grades. It's not about college career readiness. It's not about any of that stuff first. It's about kids. All those things should serve children. So we're there to show up for kids. And that I think that if you keep that in mind, and getting a little bit better every day, that's how you're going to do it. All right, I'm going to keep moving here. I am Seth. What's up, brother? Seth Miller is asking, in a new admin role, with part of my focus being on empowering classroom teachers with good teaching strategies and pedagogy. Apart from your resources, what are other channels or people you recommend? Looking to create an arsenal of great resources for our staff. Thanks so much. My pleasure. So, Seth, off the top of my head, folks that I think that are doing remarkable work are And some of these are admin. So like, if you haven't looked into Hamish Brewer yet, that dude is remarkable. I love Rafe Esquith is my number one like teacher hero probably of all time. And I'm going to say this not just because he's my publisher, because he is actually awesome. Dave Burgess is like his keynote that he gives is the best talk I've ever seen. But like better than any one I've ever seen on stage. Dave Burgess, Teach Like a Pirate, unbelievable. Other than that, there's some kind of low-key folks. So I would say One Fab Teacher, who's on YouTube, and I don't know if she's on social media, but she is remarkable. She teaches like lower grades in elementary. I forget. I want to say it's first grade. Students of History is really great, and you can take his history stuff and mold it into other stuff. I would say the OG of all OGs on YouTube is Hip Hughes. Is a really great thing. I've gotten to become friends with him in this last year. He's a remarkable individual as well. Those are the folks I'm thinking of right now. I would argue, to my knowledge, I don't know everyone, but at a quick glance or thought, anyone that, so if you look up Josh Stamper, he has an Aspire to Lead podcast. Anyone that guy reps, I would trust, because I trust Josh Stamper. And anyone really, Dustin Ecker is another person. He's a fourth grade teacher who I'm friends with and is online, used to teach at the Ron Clark Academy. Yeah, those are some like off the top of my head folks that are doing really great work. And so, Seth, look, if you are looking for anyone to come to your school, or you're looking for professional development, virtual or in person, reach out. I love this stuff, man. That's what I do. And great. Like, let me just say, like, how many of y'all wish that your administrator was online right now, like asking people what are best practices I can do to help my students this year? Like, yeah, exactly. Okay. So Kevin Graham, any suggestions for dealing with the changes in school atmosphere following a teacher being fired for inappropriate contact with a student? Yes, I have dealt with this at schools many times. And the way I deal with it is, one, look, there's a number. Let me put out a number of ways, and then you can just kind of like choose your own adventure, because some of these could be a little bit tricky, and you need the right staff and school size and stuff like that. I say school size because we were a small school, and I feel like we handled it really well. If it feels right, can we have a conversation around this? Can we talk with students? Can we talk with parents? Can we create a forum in which we're going to have this conversation? That's one. Two, I find that I want parents to know that I am for their kid, but on such a level that I'm willing to do just about anything I humanly can to help their students succeed. So I think it's upping the conversation of really presenting that to teachers. Because I'll tell you what, when you have a teacher and a student having some sort of inappropriate relationship, or a teacher crossing the boundary lines, and like, y'all know what I'm talking about. I could give 1,000 different like versions of this, but it is a teacher not being a professional and being wildly inappropriate and breaking the law in that sense. There's been a betrayal of trust amongst your student body and with regards to parents. And so if parents are our number one partners, we have to really communicate to them, like, here's what happened. Here's how we're going to make sure this never happens again. Here's how we're going to hold people accountable. And that's not just putting 1,000 new rules in place, but I think it's opening up communication. I think too many schools close the front door and you can't go into the school. You can't see what anyone's doing. You can't like, but when we lived in New Jersey, I would go to drop off my kids' lunch. I get buzzed into the front door. I'm in this lobby that's about 4 feet deep. And I have to go over to this thing, and there's a window, like a bulletproof window with a drawer, and there's not even a speaker. I got to speak through the drawer. And then if I get in, there's another security guard there. And look, I love the safety aspect of this, right? Don't get me wrong. But it was the coldness with which it was handled. It wasn't like this is just for safety reasons. It was like I was going to visit someone in prison. And there was no communication with teachers. There was no, unless it was like a remind app to tell us what was for homework. But there was like this level of partnership didn't feel like it was there. And so it's finding ways, I really believe, that are going to help to build that know, like, and trust factor again. That's going to help kids to feel safe. What are new school practices that we can do to make sure that this is not going to ever happen again? But as we're doing that, it's really being mindful of like what's best for kids. And so it's that's what I'm kind of thinking about. And then dialing it up, like being together with your people and letting them know that like we're here for you, that this wasn't just a one-off thing, that like it happened and we're going to sweep it over the rug and not talk about it anymore. Like, how can we show up being even more caring, being even more loving, being even more responsible than we ever were before? So that's top of my head. That's my answer for that. Tony S from the UK. What's up, buddy? I think why is my dog barking? I don't know. Hope no one's walking to my house. Trying to find the next question. Give me just a moment, please, because I'm alone. Oh my gosh, I'm doing a great job here, wife. So I think Tim is the next question. If I missed one, please let me know. Carson, if you even want to, or someone wants to text me, let me know if I missed a question. Just tell me what the name was. I appreciate y'all. For those of you that don't know, there's some homies on here, like the OGs of OGs that are on here, like that help out every single week. Like my guy, Chris Carson and Maisha, who could be at Office Depot right now and just secretly watching from a computer. That's what I always wish. Or John Lopez or Tracy Pinter, and I don't want to forget anyone else's name, but like, it is like these folks help every week. And I really, really appreciate this. This is not something I could do by myself. So Tim is asking, hi, CJ, I have so many new awesome ideas this year for math, like discovery activities and rich tasks. That said, I have almost double the students I had last year. I'm now also in charge of inclusion. I stayed so late several nights last year. I stayed so late several nights last year. I want this to be such a creative year for me, but I don't want to burn out either. Is there a balance? I think there is. And look, I'm going to say this, and this goes counter what everyone else is usually talking about. And I like to explain it like this. Did y'all have that song when you were younger that you just loved? I mean, you could have listened to it on repeat again and again and again. And for some of us, you're old enough that back in the day, you had to rewind the tape. You had to move the needle on the record player, right? You had to hit the back button on the CD player. And now you can just put that song on repeat. And I remember folks telling me like, no, don't listen to it too many times because then you're going to get tired of it. And as I got older, I realized like, that's so dumb. Like, I love this song. Why would I want to listen to it all the time? And so when you're thinking about education, I think it's the same thing. Like when I started teaching, and even as teaching went on, right? This is like my whole career. I loved being in my classroom. And so as long as I was, what I should have been worried about was less about burnout and more about, am I making sure I'm paying attention to all the responsibilities of my life with this kind of fervor? So I don't want to give too much to school and not too much to my kids. I don't want to be at school and working on stuff constantly and my wife's getting no love from me. I want to make sure that my friends are still being taken care of. So I've talked about this, I think it was last week, I have a list of values in my life, and then each week I rate them to see like 0 to 10, what do I give school? 0 to 10, what do I give my family or my kids? my wife, my friends, fun, my faith, and there's something else in there. But like, I rate them in order, and then like 0 to 10, what was my attention that I gave to them? And when I see some of those numbers dipping, I know that like last week might have been a really big, it was the week before school, or it was the first week of school, and I didn't give my kids as much love. How can I next week figure out a couple of things that we're going to do that is going to up my number for the following week? And this just helps me stay balanced. And it's not based on my emotion in the moment. It's based on the actual, like what I thought about each week. So if I stay late at school, like, look, I was just talking to my sisters-in-laws about this, right? Because this is how good of a brother-in-law I am. When they were like in their upper teens, they lived in New Jersey for a little bit, and they were talking about that one. They're like, remember that time we were painting bookshelves in your classroom till 4:00 in the morning? Yes. I had keys to my school, and I wasn't supposed to stay there that late, but no one ever said what time you're supposed to leave. So I would go up to my school after my kids went to bed. My mother-in-law or someone would come over and just sit there while they were sleeping, my grandma. And I would go back up to school until the wee hours of the morning because I frigging loved it, man. I just like ride skateboards around in the building, put music on blast, like working on stuff. I'd go in on Saturdays and Sundays all the time to school. But it wasn't because I was just a nut. It's because I loved it and because I had the energy for it. So what was I going to do other than that? Just like play video games? The thing that where burnout comes from is when you're running too hot and you cannot sustain that energy. But if what I'm doing gives to me, it's different. So for instance, like I know when I go out with a huge group of friends, like, so for my sister-in-law's birthday today, they're all out doing, I think it's Topgolf today with the whole family, right? I'm the only one that's not there. And actually someone else is not there too. But anyway, it's not the point. My wife and my daughter will be exhausted at the end of the day because hanging out with a lot of people takes a lot from them, and then they need recoup time. My son is going to come home on fire. I already know it because he and that gives us energy. So being at school gives me energy, right? Like working on my classroom, working on setting things up, getting excited about, oh my gosh, kids are going to come in on Monday. This looks so dope. That gives me energy. If it gives you energy, don't worry about the burnout. If it takes your energy away, figuring out what else can I do, even if there's a lot of work to do, that's going to fill me up so that when I go back into work, I'm on fire right now. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about for that. Wonderful question, Tim. Lopez said, drink off. CJ mentioned his book. That's what they do. I think this is a question. If in the last half hour that I have here, if you have a question, if you could put Q or the word question in front of it, that would be awesome because it just helps me identify if it's a question. So, and I'm going to say your name wrong, and I apologize, but it's because I'm terrible with vowels. Zamina, I think it is. I think this is a question. I have a great student who loves to volunteer and always talks. This is a student with an IEP. I want to keep his interest in the class, but how can I help him participating without distracting others? I'm just making sure that's a one-part question. All right, so this is a common issue, right? You might even have a kid that they're like, this is my favorite class ever, but they're like a little bit too much. They answer all the questions. They're constantly talking. They act like this is their class, and it's not a class of us. The reason this becomes problematic is because for a couple of reasons, right? We want everybody to have a great class. And some students might not process as quickly. Some kids might be quieter. Some kids might need to sit and just kind of sit with that question or that answer for a minute before they feel like they want to share what they have. But you have a kid that's on fire, right? I think I'm less afraid that kid is going to not like my class or not like me. And here's why. Because first of all, I'm going to address it, right? And I'll talk about how I'm going to address it. But why I'm going to address it is you can't, like, I don't want that student thinking that you can navigate life like this. Like, they clearly got to this place where, like, they feel like this is normal. Like, this is how you navigate life. This is just, you can just go in, you go to dinner with friends, you can just talk the whole time. And everyone has that friend, right? That just talks way too much. They tell all the stories. They don't ever follow social cues. They're not looking like someone else trying just get in. I just want to say, and they just bowl right over them and keep going. I want this student to learn how to be a good friend. I want them to learn how to be someone that's good to have a communicate, to have a talk with. I want them to be someone that they might have really great ideas and great answers and great insight, but if they're not really, really listening to someone, then this is a problem, right? Because we're not learning to be an active listener. And this is actually in our curriculum. So it's letting that kid know, look, I just want you to know, I love you being in class. I love that you're here every day. I love that you love class. I love that you love answers. I love that you have great ideas. But what I need from you, I need you to help me out. Because some of the kids I think are taking a little bit longer to process. Some kids, they are coming up with, they don't want to share a good idea or an okay idea. They want to share a great idea. And it's taking a couple more moments. So even though your hand is, right away, as soon as I ask a question, I'm going to say, hold on a second. Maybe we have a code word. Maybe there's a hand signal. Maybe I just let you know that I got it. But I'm acknowledging their greatness. I'm acknowledging how wonderful this student is. But I'm letting them know that we together are trying to make this a great class for everyone. Can you help me do that? And when we ask kids things like this, I know a lot of teachers don't like this because it feels like we're giving kids power, but maybe we are. And I think that that's okay, because what we're doing is acknowledging the power that young people have. We're letting them know, hold the mirror up to see how powerful you are, how powerful your words are, your patience is, your communication with other people, your ability and willingness to listen to people. And so we're walking kids through those sorts of moments and letting them learn how to take a breath so that they can be better friends and coworkers and I don't know, boyfriends, girlfriends, that kind of thing too, right? So it's like being mindful of that sort of thing. So that's how I would kind of break it down for them. And then I think it could also be really worthwhile to reach out to home and say, here's a behavior that I'm seeing. Is there something that has worked in the past in other classes? Because look, that's going to be a thing that gets a kid bullied too. That's going to be a thing that like kids are going to dog them because they just like never shut up. Is there a teacher that found a way to balance this well? Because they don't, and communicating that to parents, I don't want to crush them. I don't want them to not do it. I love that they do it. I just want them to like find a moment. It's like you can't have a guitar solo the whole song. It just doesn't work. It's awesome because of when it drops. But if the whole song was a guitar solo, it's like, what the hell? What is even happening right now? This isn't fun. That's what we're trying to figure out. All right, next question. Scrolling. Tony S is asking. I met my new colleagues this week. They talk about the 16-year-old students as if they will cause problems unless I'm really tough. Are they right? Can I start relaxed and tighten up? Oh my gosh, man, I friggin' love this question, Tony. I think, one, that's a tough conversation to be around because folks talk about students being problematic so assuredly that it is like they just make it sound like it's a foregone conclusion. It's like if everybody in the room is going, listen, broccoli's the worst, man. It is horrible. Then I'm really going, I don't know if I even want to try some broccoli right now. Like if I never had broccoli like that, you're changing the tide. I don't want to start a class like that. And the video that I'm going to put out tomorrow morning for y'all, which is based on classroom management at the beginning of the year, is one of the things I talk about is like, should you wait? Should you wait? Like if a kid's displaying a behavior, should you wait and see if that behavior persists, or should you call them out on it now? I think you should call them out on it now. Because what I'm trying to do is not just get kids to behave because I said so, because I'm in charge, because I want everyone else I work with to think that like, look how quiet and focused my class is. I think that being focused can look like a lot of different things, right? My son will tell you that if you can stand up and be paying attention to 90 different things and fidgeting with all kinds of stuff. And I go, bro, are you listening to me? He goes, yeah, you just said this, and this, right? So I think that paying attention looks like, yes, please teach on, show us all the ways, and I'll be quiet and pay attention with my hands folded. That's what I was brought up thinking paying attention was. My son has taught me that you could basically look like a whirling dervish, and then like at the end of it, I go, what was I saying? And he just repeats it all back to me. So that doesn't look any one way. What my calling kids out on behaviors in the beginning of the year does is lets them know I'm trying to help them to understand how to succeed in this class. How do you have to behave? How do you have to act? How do you have to work? What do you have to do to find success? And look, because some kids don't know that yet, right? You're 16, you're still a ball of energy. I don't know what, especially if you're drinking soda and eating Takis for breakfast, like you're on 11 when you come into school. And what I want to do is channel that energy. I want kids to know that I'm about them. I let kids know that on the first day, education is only ever about students. It is not about me. It's not about your grades. It's not about anything else. It's about you. I want you to have the best year possible. And then I let them know what that looks like, what that means, why. Why are we learning this? Why is vocabulary important? Why is writing journals important? Why is doing science important? Why is actually learning algebra really actually important in the real world, right? I need to be able to explain those things and let them know that I'm down for you. But don't take my kindness for weakness. Kids will hear you being kind and sometimes think, oh, bro, we doing anything we want in here. Nope, not. I just love you. And I love this material and I love my job. Don't let this smile fool you, because I will push you, because I want you to be great. I don't want you to have the most okay life anyone's ever had. I want you to live the life you were made to live, the life you dream of living. And so, can you toughen up? Yes. I find that looks and feels weird to kids. I want and they need consistency. So I want to start from the beginning, and it doesn't mean I have to be mean about something. It doesn't mean I have to be nitpicky about something. It doesn't mean I have to be a hard ass in class, right? Bars. It is just being consistent. My man, can you listen for 20 more seconds while I'm giving directions? I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. And then I give 20 more seconds. I don't go, hey, what are you talking for? I just said no talking when I'm talking. All right? Listen, everyone. There's no talking in this classroom when I'm talking. Instead, it's like, bro, can you chill for a second? I'm just trying to give these directions. And then, all right. And I realize I'm asking, but I'm not really asking. Like, I'll still just tell a kid. But it is, I think, going into it, giving them that consistency, giving them that kindness. And you know what it's going to be, Tony? It's going to be relationships over everything. Your relationships that you build with students, they'll know what you're about. They'll know why you're doing what you're doing, and they'll respect it, because then they get it. They know that you're not just trying to be tough. They know that you're just not trying to show off or flex. They know that you're about them. And once you build those relationships, which takes a little bit of time, you'll find that kids fall in line because they want your approval. They don't. It makes it uncomfortable now when you don't like me, because it matters to me how you feel about me, and I want to be able to leverage that in a good way. Lots of good love and ideas for Tony. I love it. Gosh, so much good stuff going on in here. Started back last Tuesday, Stephanie said. Awesome. Have a wonderful year. I hope that's great. Ruth is asking. There's so many Ruths. Who knew? But Ruth Elise, I believe I'm saying your last name correctly, is saying, I'm teaching third grade. This is your first year. First of all, Ruth, I'm going to tell you before I even read your question, right? Take it all in, because you are going to be able to help someone in the future that is having their first year, and take more pictures, not even for social media. Just take pictures of everything or videos of everything so that you remember how things went. So the question, and I have very sweet kids. My one biggest problem is chatting, singing, noises during lessons or independent time. I have been doing more constructive reminders. The first week, sticky notes as warnings, and then 1 or 2 minutes of recess. But we haven't totally nipped it. It's a large portion of the class and mostly unconscious. I have parent notes I can send home, but that seems extreme, especially since it's more of a bad habit, and most of them, and it's mostly a bad habit for most of them, and it's so many of them. Also, have a lot who talk to themselves and read out loud. So it's more nuanced. I don't mean to laugh. I'm not laughing at your pain. I'm thinking of my I think he's 7 years old. My nephew Sebastian he's always singing everything to himself. And I go, Seb, what are you singing? What are you talking about? Bro, you swear you were just singing. He's always singing, always moving, always like running through the house when he comes and visits Uncle CJ. And it is friggin' hilarious to me. I think I would love for folks that are teaching younger folks. All right, so Lupita is already saying one fab teacher is first grade teacher in Houston. She's remarkable. And should go over there. You can even email her, I'm sure. Just tell her that I sent you. It is, to me, I don't think there's anything wrong with reaching out to parents. I think that whole activity has gotten a bad rap, because what I'm doing is looking for solutions. I'm not looking to just tell you your kid's doing a bad job, or that your kid's being a problem, or that your kid is exhibiting this behavior and it needs to stop right now. This is not how we do it in our class. It's acknowledging that the parent knows the kid better than you do. Now that's real life. Could you maybe talk to your kid? Now look, I don't know every parent. And some parents are mean, and some parents are really kind, and some parents are going to forget, but it's worth doing anyway. It's also worth asking, has there been a teacher that is like before now, or like, how do you handle this at home? How do you handle this in church? How do you handle this? Now that question takes a little bit of knowing your students, but what are some ways that, like, maybe in kindergarten or pre-K that this has helped, like, your teachers, like there's a teacher that has handled this well. So you're just constantly looking for those clues. You're also looking for things that get a little bit better. What I would also do, Ruth, is take notes. Is it beginning of the day that it's more like this? Is it after lunch? Is it right before the end of the day? And then could I do something that's going to help recenter to change the energy of the kids? So I remember in fourth grade, Mrs. Panchton, one of the greatest teachers I ever had, when we came in from recess, so we had lunch and recess was right after it. Why I remember that, I have zero idea. But in fourth grade, that was a lot of energy coming back into the classroom. And so every day she would read to us for 20 minutes. And we read some of my favorite books of my whole life in that time period. Things I still remember, fourth grade, Nothing, My Side of the Mountain, stuff like that. It was her reading that, and with the lights down, that recalibrated everyone. And then we went slowly into the next activity. And it's being mindful of some little things like that, I think, as well. Dealing with older students, mainly, I would find that coming in from lunch, because now we just ate lunch, we have energy again, we got to hang out with our friends, it's an explosion. And so how can I redirect that when you come in? So I'm mindful of things like the lights. I'm mindful of things like being able to walk around and remind kids. It's kind of laughing at some behavior sometimes. Like, I just choose not to get upset, but I'll just see a kid that's like has a hard time sitting still or whatever they're doing. I'm just like, oh my gosh, dude, this is like, bro, you gotta chill. And then sometimes I think it's constant reminders. I don't think that age is too young to have real talks with kids. Hey, listen, I just want to remind everyone that when we go into this reading activity, listen to me. I'm going to talk. Miss Elise is going to talk for 10 seconds. All right. Are we ready? Okay. Do I have everyone's attention? Here we go. Your behavior doesn't just affect you and your grade. It affects other people. Who else does it affect? Other people. When you are singing or reading aloud, it makes it harder for other people to pay attention. I'm already over 10 seconds and I don't even care because I don't think anyone's counting. It makes it harder for other people to pay attention. Can you give them the gift of being silent while you're reading? Can you give them the gift of not singing during this next activity? I love when you sing. I love hearing that you can read. It's my most favorite thing in the whole world. But I want to be able to give that gift to other people. Do you think we could give them that gift? It's walking kids through that to help them understand that, and it's something I do with older kids too, that their behavior affects others, and here's how we're going to change that and work together. So I hope that helps with you. But like I said, I'd check out my girl, One Fab Teacher. She's remarkable. Questions. I think this is a question. It is. Okay. So what I think is Zamina. I apologize again for not being able to say your name. It looks wonderful. Like that is a whole long, wonderful looking name. Anyway, I don't know. I comment on these things sometimes. I am starting to send messages to parents to let them know what kids are doing and due dates. Should I ask during back to school night if they like the idea, or should I keep sending notes? I wouldn't bother asking. I mean, you could. It might just give you some insight. I'll tell you right now, I like being in the know, but about everything. So if I have parents sign up for WhatsApp, so you decide what you're going to use, right? Is it Remind? Is it WhatsApp? Are you sending messages through PowerSchool? I want to send a message through, and sometimes it's all of those, right? Can I send a message that's going to go right to their phone that's not an email? Especially if you're dealing with parents. So like as an entrepreneur now, like when I'm doing business work, I set my phone to work mode so I do not receive emails. I have very few things I can get. I can get a Remind app. I can get WhatsApp. I can get certain people can text me, but by and large, I'm trying to block out the world. And I hate emails. I deal with so many emails that I have to, it's not that I hate email. It's like I get so much garbage in my email and so many things I have to get back to. It's not something I enjoy. So a quick WhatsApp, a quick Remind. And I'm saying for all kinds of things. Here's some pictures of like, I got a couple pictures of kids reading in class today. Here's some kids working on the science project. Here's some kids that when we were outside doing recess today, and this is what it looked like. Like, I want to be in the know for all the things. Then here's the homework. Then here's back to school night. Then so I'm not overwhelming them, but I'm becoming a part of their rhythm. And I'm sending things home. Like I said before, most schools, and God bless you if you don't work at a school like this, but most schools, there's a wall between what happens in the school and what happens at home. And we can't both see over the top. What I want to do is build community. I want to build a connectedness where if like the school that my daughter goes to right now, albeit it's a private school, but I can go visit there anytime I want. I can sit in on a class anytime that I want. I can walk in and talk to the principal. And it's like, that's wonderful. But I had that same policy with my parents. Parents could show up. Now, you don't disrupt my class because I'm in the middle of teaching. But if you had a moment and you could wait around, or you want to speak to me in between class or during the prep, by all means, show up. I'll have that conversation with you because I'm trying to build that connection piece with those folks. So I think that it's communicate regularly and often, but it's reminding people that like, this is how I'm communicating. So if you don't have Remind, if you don't have WhatsApp, if you don't know what they are, I would spend time at back to school night walking folks through that process of what that looks like, and maybe even sending them a video or something like that, written directions on like how to respond, how to sign up. Because if you're not in that world, then you don't know that all these things exist that do exist. All right. Coming up, I'm going to do one more because I have like 3 back-to-back mentor calls after this, which, side note, I'm going to say this. If you need more one-on-one attention, you can go right to my website, realrapwithreynolds.com, it's not my favorite website right now. We're working on that. But you can sign up for mentoring, get your school to pay for it. They will pay for it. And often schools give professional development credit to their teachers for doing one-on-one mentoring, because I just have to write something up and send it to your school, let them know that this is what we're talking about. But do it. RC Amigos is saying, Reynolds, you made my day hearing you talk about faith. Not a teacher yet. Currently own a business for 15 years and can't wait to teach CTE and share my skills. Been binging your channel for the last few weeks. Thank you. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yes. All right. So last question. Here we go. Ruth is asking, how do I teach noise level procedures? All right. So this is probably going to touch a little bit about what we talked about already, but I guess I didn't know, but I had to teach that. And should I allow a small amount of bodies during independent time? Is silent too strict of an expectation? I think it depends on what you're doing. So testing, silence. I don't play, right? And I'm teaching older kids, right? So because I don't know what's cheating and what's someone saying, God bless you, or can I have a pencil? There's also kids that it takes all of their power to focus, right? So I'm teaching inclusion classes, teaching a lot of kids with IEPs, and they need the silence. Now, for some of those kids, I'm going to tell you what, investing in, and I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that. A company that I love is Loop, L-O-O-P. They make earplugs that are for silence. They also have other earplugs that help kids to focus, that cuts out a lot of external stimuli and things like that. Those could be a really great investment for parents or for schools. Just having headphones for certain kids to wear in your classroom is going to help that. But it's really trying to get kids to be silent during testing. Now, look, other activities, it's going to change, but it's constantly reminding kids and remembering that they're young, remembering that the prefrontal cortex is not all the way developed, and so that they do things without thinking, right? When you go when people ask what were you thinking? How could you jump off the monkey bars like that? What were you thinking? It's like, bro, I wasn't, because that's not how I roll yet. I just do, and then I think about it afterwards. So it's being mindful of that. But I find that silent classes are far more in general about me feeling like, oh my gosh, this feels out of control. This sounds out of control. But some of my best classes are some of my loudest classes. So I don't have a problem with kids being loud. It's, are we on task? And is our volume affecting others? My friend Jill got this year, this is something I've always wanted to do. She bought a stoplight on Amazon, and it's like a traffic light, red, yellow, green. She has a remote. She can change it. So when it's red, it's silent. So if I'm giving directions, if we're taking a test, something like that, if it's a fire drill or like an emergency procedure at the school, red, no talking, no matter what. Yellow is we're getting ready to get quiet, right? And green is full tilt. We're just working. We're just doing stuff. You can talk right now. We're having snack. We're doing whatever. But that visual reminder for some kids is what's going to help them to do that. I have another friend, Too Cool for Middle School, on Instagram. She uses a wireless doorbell in her classroom to let kids know that it's time to get quiet. But it's making sure, if we're telling kids to get quiet, we're letting them know when they don't have to be quiet anymore either. So we're letting them know when the off and on switch is. We can't just forget that we told them that they have to be silent. And then I want to let them know when the on switch comes on as well. And that helps too. But then it's just regulating volume. So there's really wonderful websites that do this, that you can see when it's getting too loud, the decibels will show on the screen. Or when you feel like things are getting too loud, ring a bell, make a noise, hit a buzzer, right? Whatever it is, to just remind folks. Or I know people do waterfall hands or something like that. There's all kinds of different versions of this, but it's just finding that reminder. And then here's the thing, Ruth, and for anyone that's having this issue, it's finding the thing that works consistently. Trying a new thing and then trying a new thing and then trying a new thing and then kind of do it and then only doing it when you're mad or only doing it when you feel like it or only doing it when you're happy doesn't serve anyone. Sure, try new things if old things don't work, but finding those things that are really going to work and then doing them consistently over time. Look, gang, if you're brand new to what we're doing here and you have not been following us for very long, there's so many resources out there, from back to school boot camps that exist that are from our free Facebook group, right? It's only for teachers. There are no people, there's no one in there supposed to be selling anything. And we try and just boot those folks if they are. But that's really important. If you are trying to get mentoring with me, I do one-on-one phone calls with folks all the time. You can go right to realrapwithreynolds.com for that. Or my book is out there too. It's actually not $24.95 right now. It's on sale on Amazon right now for back to school. But you can go right to Amazon, type in Teach Your Class Off, and get a book, and that's going to help you out as well. What we're trying to do here with this platform is help as many people as possible be the teachers they're called to be. I want you to be the teacher you dreamed of being. Tomorrow, if you are nervous tonight, all you got to do, I'm going to oversimplify this, but all you got to do is remember there's some kid coming to school tomorrow that's more scared than you are. You're going to show up tomorrow and be the teacher for them that they need tomorrow. And if you do that, it's a win. Find someone that thinks they're invisible, that thinks they don't matter, that thinks they're forgotten, and let them know that they matter. And with that, gang, we'll see you next week. That's it. Peace.